Fiji and Tonga folks playing this weekend. Rugby World Cup warm-up season is really getting underway. We're going to go through the squads that have been picked for this weekend's clash, some of the recent history and predictions, and you guys can let us know your thoughts. Obviously, Fiji, under their new coach Simon Rawalui, we're looking to get underway with a win at home. And for Tonga, they did have a win last week against the Australian A side in the first game played on Tongan soil in a very long time, and they'll be looking to back up when they travel over to Fiji. But Fiji at home traditionally have been a pretty tough one for the Tongans to get the job done. In the last 5 games, 4 of them go Fiji's way. Tonga did get a win back in 2018, but the average score is 24-15. So, yeah, the last result was 36-0. Pacific Nations Cup last year. That was the game that I think Israel Folau made his Tongan debut and got injured after like 30 minutes. So it was a bit of a stinker from the Tongans from memory. I seem to remember they had a lot of chances early and took nothing. And then the Fijians just, went on a bit of a rampage. But that's a wee while ago. For this Fijian side, they have got a little bit in the way of changes. And there's certainly a little bit of flavour which has come in from the Fijian Drua in Super Rugby. But largely, you've got a bunch of guys who are kind of international capped and playing the rugby in Europe for heaps of them. You've got Ravai, Matavesi and Dogia in the front row. So they will be, put under pressure by the Tongan front row, which is also looking pretty interesting, but we'll get to them in a second. Nasila Sila and Mayana Vanua are in the second row. So all these guys are kind of capped internationals. There's no debutants there, but there is one in the back row in Tangi Valu, who's playing at 6, and then you got the immense, one of the players of the year, Levani Botia, there at 7. He is going to be, an absolute guy to keep an eye on. Some of these Fijian guys play their rugby in France. I don't get to see them that often, but with La Rochelle doing as well as they do, Levani Botia is kind of front and centre of any rugby fan who is watching any kind of European rugby, be it top 14, Champions Cup. He's an absolute beast of a ball carrier, and a big tackler, so very physical. Albert Tuisui is also no slouch there at number 8. So it's a good looking 4-pack. The backs is interesting because you got Frank Lamani and Caleb Muntz. That's a Fijian and Drua combination at 9-10. Muntz at 10 is definitely kind of an interesting call. It still seems like the unanswered question of Fijian rugby. You've had Ben Volavola. He's never really looked 100% the business. There's been Tititella, and now it is Caleb Muntz who's going to get a turn. I'll admit I'm not 100% sold on Muntz as an international 10, but he's going to get some experience, isn't he? So it's certainly a good idea to build some depth at 10, and the fact that he plays with Lamani for his club is only going to help things. And it's also going to help having another unit like Joshua Tuisova outside him. Goodness gracious me. Watch out for that guy's ball carrying because he is phenomenal. And then Captain Nayatha Level there at 13 as captain, man. Like, that's one of the best midfield pairings I think you'll find just in world rugby. Like, speed, skill, and power. You've got it in spades with those guys. The wingers, Robert Tomada is on the left wing. He's another one of the kind of Drua guys. Waini Ngolo on the right wing. And then Sevens guy, Mangala, at 15, if that's how you pronounce his name. I'm taking a real stab at it. But, I don't watch enough Sevens to know how good this guy is, Sireli Mangala. But Fiji Sevens tend to be pretty good. I'm going to assume if he's been thrust into the 15 side that he's alright. Has he played Test rugby before? I don't know. Somebody educate me on this guy, but I'll certainly go have a look at some YouTube highlights because I'm sure there are some. Bench-wise, you got Ikanavere, Maui and Tangi, along with Thirikira Veta. Vili Mata is there as well, which is an offloading king in himself. And then Matawalu, Volavola and Radradra on the bench. Radradra to come off the bench is... the fact you can leave a guy like that off the bench speaks to the depth in the Fijian backline. But I'll admit, the last few times I've seen him playing, he's not quite looked the same devastating self. Like, if you were asking me to pick Nayatha Level or Radradra right now, I would be picking Nayatha Level as well. So, Radradra is certainly one of the more exciting and bigger names in world rugby, but Fiji's got a lot of backs, what can you say? For Tonga, remember they were able to blood a lot of kind of former All Blacks and Wallabies in recent times, especially. You saw a bunch of them in that game against Australia A. You are going to miss out on the likes of Israel Folau and Peter Aki this week, who have been rested, but you've still got Fisihoi, Maile, and Tamiafuna, Big Ben Tamiafuna, there in the front row. So I do genuinely think that will be a very interesting front row battle. Like, as much as we watch both of these sides for the likes of a Nayatalevu and a Pietau and whatnot, the platform they're given by the forwards is certainly going to be probably going to dictate how they're able to play. You've got Leva Fafita and Sam Losi in the locks, and Sam Losi, since going abroad, has absolutely continued his. I've seen him playing in the URC, and he's just been in phenomenal form as well. Sets up drives for fun, and then Halafanua, Funaki, and Fafita. That's via Fafita, make out the back row. So Fafita's been another one via Fafita, that is, who's been tearing it up for his URC club. Funaki, in terms of the Moana Pacifica form, has been really good. So yeah, there's I think a decent amount to like about that Tongan forward pack. And then backs wise, Takalua, the veteran, he's probably like my favorite Tongan player, Sonatane Takalua, because he's always there. If I'm not mistaken, he is from Tonga, and he just always takes any opportunity to play for Tonga. I remember during COVID, he was one of the few guys to make the trip over from Europe, whether that's because his club allowed it, because it's whether he wasn't going to take no for an answer. But he was one of the guys who he's just such a fixture for Tonga. He just seems to love playing for Tonga. So he captains the side from 9. And then you've got this guy Mausia, who is there at number 10. I feel like he's been the bench guy. It was Havili last week. So yeah, we'll see how Mausia goes. I don't know much about him at 10. But with Munson and Mausia there, that's a pretty inexperienced 10 on each side. Then you got Fekitoa at 12, Taumoepiao at 13. And then Solomon Akata, Finia Inisi, and Charles Pietau as your outside backs. I mean, Inisi at Moana Pacifica level has been good. We all know about Solomon Akata, whatever club he's been with, be it Rugby League, Rugby Union. And then Charles Pietau there at 15 will be certainly looking to cut loose as well. So, man, some big names in these teams. Mole, Fotuaika, and Kolomatangi are there as your front row replacements. Vailanu and Paya are your forward replacements. And then there's this guy, Patrick Pellegrini, who I don't know much about. I'll admit, I think they said he's got like an Aussie dad and a Tongan mum, but he plays in England. I don't know anything about him other than that. And then you got a Sevens guy as one of your other back replacements as well. So, yeah, I'm certainly going to get an education about both these sides. As I said, some of them play for teams which I don't get to kind of regularly see in action. So, yeah, some of them I haven't probably seen since they left kind of Super Rugby or the last time Tonga played or Fiji played. But, yeah, it should be a pretty interesting one. Like I said, the Fijians usually have the edge over the Tongans at home. But remember, Tonga is already one game in to their kind of Rugby World Cup warm-up, whereas Fiji, this is their first game. And Fiji are at home. It is in Lautoka. It is an afternoon kickoff, 3:05, which I think is the same time zone over here in New Zealand. So kind of like an afternoon kickoff. I'm sure my dad will come around to watch that one. Bookies, I've got the Fijians by 9 points. And the Rugby Forecast algorithm, which probably doesn't know that Tonga has been able to get guys like Pietau and Fekitoa and whatnot into the squad, is saying Fiji by 27. So, yeah, we will see. I guess the last time it was 36-0, and Tonga had a few big guns in that game as well. So maybe the forecast algorithm is right, or maybe it's the bookies who say it'll be a bit closer. You guys let us know your thoughts. How do you reckon this one's going to go? I know here in NZ it is being broadcast on Sky, so that's good news, but check with your own local broadcasters as to whether it's going to be shown in your neck of the woods. Ranked 13 against ranked 15 in the build-up to World Cup. Heaps to like about it. You guys let us know your thoughts, and yeah, I'll talk to you guys again soon. Yeah.